Before we get started with today's podcast, we'd like to ask returning listeners to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really enjoy it, share a link to this podcast with friends or family who would enjoy hearing our weekly discussions about basketball and basketball culture. Now, on to the show.
Yeah, isn't it amazing when Michigan can keep this game to a 19-foot 9-inch game inside that three-point line? It's all theirs. Nice move by Steve Fisher here. Turn it into the 19-9 game.
Welcome to the 19-9 podcast. I'm here with one of the members of Cat and Cloud Coffee. He is back in the house. Jared Truby already cracking me up. The theme song playing in the background. He's clowning. So I had to look down on the video conference. I had to look away. I was like, I can't start the podcast cracking up just yet. How you doing in California?
Oh, I'm doing good. I was just feeling that. That was hot. I
Yeah,
was like, okay,
yeah.
I'm at the game right now. Way better than quarantine.
coming over the top there with the theme music.
Feeling it real hard. Way to do. Everybody's got to experience that. Way sicker than the last time.
Way better, right? Well, just wait for the ad read. You're really the live ad read. We're going next level, so you'll be right along with me for that too.
You need me to ad lib, dog. I am here for ad read.
Yeah, I know you got that down. So how are things going? What have you guys been up to out there before we get into our main topic?
Oh, changing the world, piss and excellence. Dude, we're getting through it, man. Honestly, I'm really proud of our team. Hard work, right? I mean, it's weird. You have to tell people to cover their face over and over again, at least in California,
Yeah.
right? So, like, we're extra on top of everything else going on. And
Are people being okay with that? Because I can imagine that's a tough, because telling people what to do at a business where you're selling something, it just always feels odd. But I mean, it's necessary. Yeah.
No, you're on it.
Yeah.
They do an awesome job.
Okay.
And legitimately
Good.
are tired of it because
Yeah.
people don't care. They'll come in, they'll read the thing and say, "Oh, I have to wear a mask."
Yeah.
They'll stand there, read it, and then they'll walk in with like the mask hanging off their face, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey," trying to be nice, and they're like,
Yeah.
and they like grab the mask with their hand and they pull it down and ask for their order and put it back up, and it's like, dude.
Oh no! It's it's just a cultural thing, right? I think hopefully maybe we'll get better at it as time goes on. I don't know. We're so
respect?
Well, no, not that. No, that ship has sailed. just the idea of a mask.
Good. Yeah, it's all a mess, dude. It's all a mess, but all in, I can't complain. We're going in the right direction with the right people. It's feeling good. So praise hands.
Yeah, no doubt. So give me one. I got one more ask before we start talking basketball. I need a coffee recommendation. I'm going to shout out Matt Breivogel too. He's our photographer, and he's been ordering some coffee too. So I told him I would get a coffee recommendation here. So I need to put it in order too. What you got for us?
We're gonna shoot you the Kenya and or Wilson Morales. I think I might have said Wilson Morales last time though. So let's just skip over that. Limu.
Okay.
From Ethiopia. And let me just tell you something. I've been doing some R&D on roasting, and I might have found some new gospel for the way we bring it. And
Nice.
it's pretty crazy. I'm not trying to like sound tight.
Okay.
But I did something with some of the tools that are only on the San Francisco roasting machine, and I've been messing with it, and something special's happening. So if you grab the Answer, you grab that Limu. There's a coffee from Mexico about to launch. And Wilson or Pedro Moreno, from Honduras. Pedro Moreno. All three of those, give them a go because I got something pretty special happening. You're gonna find these coffees epic, and all of our coffees are about to get even more epic than they were before.
I love it. I'm gonna order as soon as we're done here. But
what a guy.
Let's get into the topic. So I threw this one out to you, and so we were right in the middle, or I think when we started thinking about this, of watching the Last Dance. But the idea is like this GOAT debate, and there's so many. It's so fun. I mean, I could talk about Jordan versus LeBron or whoever just till I'm blue in the face. But the idea was to take a look at it from the Olympic side of things.
Yeah.
So we watched the Dream Team gold medal game, and I might have watched a couple of other games.
Same,
the Dream Team.
same.
And then originally we were going with the 2012 team, and the reason I picked that one initially is because I just thought that was like LeBron at his zenith. That's when he's with the Heat and he's winning championships. And then I want to hear why you switched us to 2008. I think you're right, but I was just kind of curious what first stood out to you in making that switch.
Yeah, well, get ready, haters, because the biggest reason is I was like, LeBron ain't that tight.
Oh,
and he's tight. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
I
watching
know
these games. I'm watching the Olympics.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, really in my mind, I'm going Kobe versus Jordan at this point. If we're trying to go like GOAT talk.
Okay.
Just because I had already kind of mentally proven to myself that LeBron wasn't the dude. So we started the 2012 game, and it just wasn't that exciting. Like, it was a close game, but it wasn't. Honestly, we didn't even play that great. It was just fine.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't very exciting. There wasn't a ton of soul in it. We had KD. That was cool. I liked watching KD. There's something special about him for sure. But then I was like, well, wait, maybe there's something special about the 2008 team. And then that team is the team.
Yeah.
And damn. and then you got Kobe showing out on a different level, but not only Kobe,
he's in his prime. And in 08, he's in his like absolute prime for sure.
Unbelievable.
And he's still good in 12, but maybe a little bit past his prime then. Like he's kind of like elder statesman on the team. But he was starting.
Yeah, I feel like he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the coach almost.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
player coach.
that's what happened. And then I hit you back and I was like, I think we got a 2008 versus 92.
I was blown away when I watched 08 because I had watched a couple of the 12 games because I watched for the Melo game, actually. I don't know if you watched that one, but there's the Angola one where he scores like 39 points in 12 minutes or something like that.
Which was sick.
Yeah, which was wild. But the thing that got me, I think, was just the no centers on the 12 team. So they had like just Anthony Davis basically, and they would trot out LeBron at center sometimes because they didn't have Dwight. He was out injured that year, and I forget who else 08 had, but they had a couple more at least big guys too. I have their roster, so I'll look at that in a minute. But
12 was Prince, or it was 8 Prince. Tayshaun Prince was
he's on 8. Yeah,
he's on 8. Right? Yeah, you got that roster. I should pull it up. Huh?
Yeah, I got it. I know because I'll forget for sure.
Oh, me too.
But then the other thing I think just high level stuff is. Diving back into the dream team, I just have such recency bias for the new guys because I've watched them so much and haven't seen the dream team guys in so long. And I was listening to Jack, I think it's McCallum. He did a book on the dream team called The Dream Team, but he's got a podcast. I don't know if you've seen that. It's called The Dream Team Tapes.
Nah, I'm going to go check it now.
Okay. You're going to be blown away. I mean, it's the way he presents it is super old school. He's a reporter, and so he's like very dry with it, and in the way that he speaks, it's not like a typical podcast. But he has all this like taped conversations with Barkley, Jordan, and you hear like authentic tapes. The story, and I told this on another podcast too, but it's worth repeating again. He went golfing with Barkley and Drexler, him and another reporter, and they're in Monaco. And so, or Monte Carlo. So they're on their way back from golfing with these two guys, and they're on that super windy road that Princess Grace died on. And they start joking about like, I wonder what the headline would say if we drove off the road right now. And the one reporter is like, I'd say Barkley and Drexler and 2 others die in a car crash. and then Drexler chimes in. He's like, they wouldn't even put y'all in the newspaper article. It'd just say Drexler and Barkley die. And then Barkley came over the top and he goes, come on, guys. All it would say is Barkley dead. So you could just hear it in his voice. And I was cracking up listening to it in the car. But it's great to hear those guys like authentic voices because he just, taped these interviews to write the book. So I'm assuming most of them didn't know they'd air on a podcast, 30 years later. But you can hear kind of that real Jordan like you heard in the Last Dance too, where he just is kind of shooting his mouth off.
I love that.
Colin Drexler. Yeah, he's like, Drexler compared himself to Jordan again. And, Jordan's like, come on, man. Like just straight up. Like you hear that, like, you're really going to bring that up almost. And you're like,
no chance.
Yeah.
Not even the same game.
No chance. Yeah.
It's so funny to watch them and like watch Drexler and on those old tapes. His jump shot is just so ugly.
Oh my God. How does he kick his leg? I always wondered how he kicked his legs up like that. It's amazing. And he's a good
Is it
shooter.
a style?
I guess. There's a little flair to it. I do appreciate a little flair to a jump shot.
Same. I mean, all of them were good. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong,
yeah.
Jason, but just you watch that and you're like, okay, he's one of the greats at that time, and it's pretty ugly.
Yeah. Well, I think that era too is just like way more unique jump shots. Like, I guess
No doubt.
no shooting coaches then, and you're just figuring it out on your own.
It's real obvious when you watch like that squad versus 2008, 12, even just the difference in the like the overall level of athlete and just all the all of it is just like it's way higher now. But that's I think why you could debate Jordan as the GOAT, because Jordan at that time, I believe, is at the same level as these guys now, especially considering like the competition was so much less back then than it is now. Like his style holds up, all of it holds up. And so anyway, maybe we're not there yet, but I noticed that.
No, we'll go wherever. I didn't really have an agenda. I think that like when I watched that Dream Team, I think the game though really did surprise me, like how good, because I fully came into it thinking like it was going to be a done deal for me, kind of like the 2008 or even the 12 team. I'm like, it's not going to be, like, it just doesn't hold up. And I was pretty blown away by a lot of the dream team guys, because I think I didn't watch, thinking back, I didn't watch some of those guys as much. You see so many highlights, like Magic Johnson, watching a game of him. I mean, that guy was, unbelievable. And Pippen, those two guys, and along with Barkley and I think Robinson, were the ones that I was floored by how athletic they were compared to the guys that they were on the court with, and just their skill level was, it was surprising. I didn't remember them, I guess, because I didn't have cable growing up or anything of that stuff. So I only saw them maybe on NBC once or twice a year.
No, I felt the same way. And it's so interesting because they all have such a unique style. Pippen, I think, was the one who impressed me the most with his just like overall game. The other one who kind of surprised me was Mullen. Like, he was such a better player than he looked, even in watching him. Like, the buckets he'd get, the defense, all of it. I'm like, you don't look very good, but it's happening for you.
It's that crew cut, right?
Yeah, that crew cut sucks.
I know.
Trying to play that freaking
It doesn't. Crew cut does not hold up.
Does not hold up, dog. Nah. But that team was interesting. The thing that made it like, just Jordan, if he wanted to turn it on, like you could feel those moments where, I don't know, he either got fouled or something happened, and it's like you could see him get excited, and he's like, I'm gonna get excited and take over the game for a minute. And he was pretty measured. Like, he wasn't selfish at all in the game, which I appreciated, but you could tell he's like, I'm taking over, and he would take over for a good 2 minutes, and then he'd like slow back down and like bring the team back together. I thought that was sick. And it was pretty apparent when he wanted to turn it on, he'd get a steal and a dunk and a jump shot and a layup, and it was just like, okay, this is for sure the guy. you know?
There was no doubt that he was the guy on that team. Even doing research on like Chuck Daly, he told this story about Jordan where he is it's against Lithuania, which had those really cool jerseys. I didn't realize that the Grateful Dead had like not sponsored them, but they had like licensed that print out to them and help them get there, because they didn't even have a chance to, or they didn't have the money to like qualify. It was kind of a crazy story. But anyways, Marshallonis, Daly just told Jordan to shut him down for like 9 minutes, and for the next 9 minutes he didn't even touch the ball. And the years later, like Daly, if you brought it up to Daly, I guess people would say, the reporter that was talking about it said that he would repeat that, just how blown away he was to watch like that, to be able to dominate both ends of the court in that way was something that was really unique about Jordan.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I would always debate too. It's like everybody wants to put other people up against Jordan in debates, but it's how many of them have every single award you could possibly get compared to him. He got the defense, he got the assist lead, he got, it was just like boom, boom, boom. He had it all at some point. I think that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that the competitive edge too, the willingness to just be that guy, and maybe that's what you're talking about with the Kobe thing, because I think that really stood out about when I watched that 08 game, what really stands out about Kobe is that, and getting in, to the LeBron debate, is that it's clear to me in 08 and even in 12 a little bit that everybody on the team thinks Kobe's the guy. And I think that matters something. Like if all the other players who are the best in the world think that he's the guy, I mean, that says something. And I'm a bit of a Kobe hater sometimes, but because I like Jordan so much, but it was undeniable. He just looked unbelievable out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the thing that I always didn't like when they compared him to Jordan is that, like, for one, 2 inches is what, right? Because he's 6'8", if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember offhand.
Yeah.
That the 2 inches and just like different guy, different times, and I was always like, it's not the same one on, but they do have a similar style, and they do have like that respect and the IQ for the game. And they do have that. It's like that drive, like in the 2008 game when he shushes the crowd, and that game's close. Like that was a really awesome, like such a hype game. And I would say in a weird way, there's a couple times throughout the series in that game, I mean, that I'm like, oh, Kobe's taking a couple extra shots. But when he needed to take shots and make shots, he did it, and they were hard shots. They weren't easy shots, but they were the ones where it's almost just like you knew he was going to do it. And that's something that only he and Jordan, I think, you could like believe in more often than not. Like, people are going to do that in the league, and you might see Curry and you like think it's going to work, but I don't feel that confidence for people like I do for Jordan, for sure, because he's got like probably the title of game winners. But secondly, like I kind of believe Kobe's going to take that final shot, and I kind of believe he's going to make it.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. What is that makes you just like have a belief in just maybe the way they carry themselves, or I don't know.
I don't know. The other part I noticed about watching this too is in the cool thing about these videos is you get these little snippets where it's not censored and you can hear the huddles, which I enjoy because you can hear like some of the immaturity of these players a little bit, and then you hear, it's almost like you notice after you listen to that and you pay attention to who's hanging out with who, that's something that Kobe and Jordan both didn't do, is they didn't get into the drama. They didn't get into like hanging out with, I won't even call them the wrong people, but you can hear the guys who are like a little more ego driven and less about winning the game and being like a leader.
Right.
Kobe wasn't on that when you hear that in the huddles. He's not in on it. He's just listening. He's not getting in fights. He's not like going over the top. Like, some of that squad is, I mean, Melo's a little in people's faces, and I like Melo, but like, some of those guys are like losing it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it got it got tight. Like that's something we never got to see out of the Dream Team, is that I think going into that Lithuania game, they thought it might be a close game, and that was like their most dominant performance. They beat them by like 45 points or something crazy like that. Just they're not being challenged. I think it's hard to see maybe what the team's made of if you don't get to see that from them. Yeah,
and I gotta say, I don't think the 92 team stands a chance against the 2008 team, just because the person that we're not talking about, who I actually think deserves more cred than they get, is Dwayne Wade. He's like one of my favorites of all time. But you watch him in that 2008 team, I think him and LeBron being a great teammate, like that's the thing about LeBron, is he will make everybody around him better. So I understand the specialness of him, because rebound, he can do it all.
Yeah.
But if you got Kobe, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron, that three, I don't think anybody in the world's gonna be able to take that three. I'd love to see Jordan take him with somebody else, and there's some good opportunity, but those guys are crazy special together.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And I think Wade, they were bringing Wade off the bench too, so he's like such a pace changer. Now I will counter back with
bring it.
the big guys. I mean, I was really impressed by both Robinson and even Ewing. Like just how I miss seeing guys like just post and beast people in there. I think the beginning of the gold medal game, like Ewing's just every time just looking like a monster in there, just beefing people. He scores like 15 points in the first half or something like that. I was blown away by him. I was like, man, Ewing kind of athletic and just tough.
You're probably right. Like if you went tit for tat and just wanted to give a win, you'd be hard pressed to beat that kind of game. And it would be the most boring game to watch.
Right.
So I guess we're talking style.
Yeah.
That is my problem, right? It's like, there's some players on the teams that I just don't like. Even weirdly, I do like dribblers, but I can't stand Chris Paul. Never liked him at all.
Yeah.
He's a baller, but aside from that, big guys, I like have so much respect for them, but too much fundamentals. Even Tim Duncan, I'm like, I get it, but I'm just not interested.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't
so good.
He probably should have been on. I wonder if he was injured. He had that weird weird Olympic team. He was on the '04 team that got bronze with Iverson and all those guys, and then he didn't come back in '08. I wonder if
that was a fun one.
Yeah, he probably would have been good on this '08 team if he had wanted to. But I think big guys, it's weird seeing the lane change too. They had that giant trapezoid lane, so that it's harder for like the big guys to even post up.
I can't hear you.
You can't. A-Zip Pizza is a build-your-own pizza place in Indiana and Kentucky. They have unique pizzas each month, like Love It Elote, with street corn sauce, crispy chorizo, cilantro, and a lime wedge. They also have a ton of ingredients you can choose from to create something delicious on your own. Order online for curbside delivery at azippizza.com/order. Now, back to the show. Truby, we had some technical difficulties there, but we're back. We were talking about big guys and how much you love post ups and all things defense.
Slow back down, post ups, and you know what else I love? A nice street corn on my pizza.
Yeah, right.
That sounds delightful.
Oh man, it is good. They bring that back in the summer. I had it last summer. I was pumped about it.
No doubt. Yeah, we were talking big men, and then they heard me talking trash, and they're like, you know what? Call it for a second. Kick him off.
David Robinson came over the top with his biceps and put you in a headlock.
He got that ice cold cut and just dropped me.
He did.
That fool was cut, dude. Like no body fat.
No, none. Yeah, he definitely looks like the old David Robinson that time. He reminded me of Giannis. Like he would be Giannis, I think, if he was playing today. Like his ball handling would be a little bit better, and he would probably shoot. They would make him shoot more. He wasn't a bad shooter, but they'd make him shoot more, and he would be like a Giannis, I'm sure, because he was built just like him, like so lean, friggin'. I mean, born to run. Like that guy could just the way he ran up and down the court, the opposite of Ewing in that way.
Yeah, Ewing's trotting.
Man, that poor guy. He looks uncomfortable to watch him run.
He does look like he's got pain in the knees.
Yeah,
for sure. With the run.
For sure.
He's like Shaq at the end.
Yeah. Like Bird in this.
Oh jeez.
I actually, that was one of the guys that stood out in not a great way was Bird. I felt bad for him. Like that.
He was hurt.
He was a trooper to be there, and that was one of the reasons I was thinking like I would be shoo-in for the '08 or '12 team too, is because I was like, man, I thought Bird and Magic were past their prime. Magic was way better than I remembered, but Bird definitely the ship had kind of sailed up for him.
Yeah, did you watch the documentary? Maybe we talked about it. I can't remember, but with Magic and Bird and that whole deal.
Oh
relationship.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
that's
super
was
good.
Great. Yeah, and then he heard it. The way he heard it is the most Bird way too. His house is not even in 30 minutes from mine, and he was like paving his own driveway.
Of course he was.
That's how.
Is he really that close to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen him. There's a town near me called Dubois, and he goes to a little bar there when he's back in the area sometimes, and I've seen him there. My father-in-law's been like at a golf scramble where he's been at, so yeah, he's around.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep. So.
Yeah, the game's changed a lot, man. The style back, in the 92 world is just completely a different game.
Yeah.
So that's what's hard to compare to. It's like if you were to make the 2008 team play like the 2000 or the 92 team, it might be they might lose, but the other way,
I think they do. I honestly do. As great as I think they are. Just the style, like you'd have to give them time to figure out the new style, because it just is the 3-pointer is just, I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but it's just changed the game, and it would have to be dealt with. I saw the stat that blew me away is that game that Melo lights everybody up. He hits 11 threes in that game. Chris Mullin, who we were just talking about being impressed by, hit 11 threes for the whole tournament. And he was the leader for Team USA. He hit the most of anybody. Hit 11 the whole tournament. Melo hit it in a game.
It's like such a different thing, and I do think that's why I would also keep arguing Jordan as the GOAT. Is that one of the things I loved about The Last Dance? He's like, well, I mean, we didn't shoot threes.
Yeah,
I could have been good at threes. That's not what we did.
Right.
Yeah,
they just didn't take them. Yeah, Mullin. Mullin
could.
That guy could shoot. He just didn't. That just wasn't what you did. You mixed it in with like a 17-footer or something like that. Talking about one of the games, let's talk a little bit about one of the games, the gold medal games. One of the guys that from Croatia that I thought was really impressive was Petrovic. He hit a couple of threes from super deep, And it kind of reminded me of, I think it probably surprised the Dream Team guys too. He was one of those early guys that used the three as a big time weapon.
Yeah, I wasn't generally, compared to the 2008 game, right? The style, the ability for the teams to stay close, different thing. But you're right, like there was a couple of those guys who could shoot really well, and I thought that was pretty interesting in that outside of the United States, shooting is such a bigger thing because most of the people aren't quite as big, they're not quite as able to whatever, all
athletic,
of it. United States, we got the best of the best, we can get to the rack, and so aside from some of those post players and some of that skyhook stuff that you see a ton of back then, the shooters are what made the game work. And what I was kind of surprised is how little Tony Kukoc did compared to what I would expect him to do.
Yeah, he came off in the first couple episodes of The Last Dance too. I was like, man, Kukoc hasn't really been in here very much. And then I rewatched some of those old games. I'm like, maybe Kukoc wasn't as good as I thought he was, because he's just kind of that prototype for the Dirks and some of the guys that came along later. And I don't know though that he's not in the same class as those guys. Like he looks the part more than actually being it. And he was really good, but just not on that same level. So even some of the Spanish team, I was much more impressed with. And I looked up to just some of the stats. There were 3 guys at the time. Only Petrovic was in the NBA from that Croatian team. There was 2 or 3 other guys that would eventually make it. Dino Raja was on that team. He made it. And then there was one guy that had like a cup of coffee on the team. And then of course Kukoc. So only 3 guys. And I think on that 08 team, there was 7 or 8 guys on that Spanish team that have had legit NBA careers, including Ricky Rubio.
I love Rubio. Dude.
Man, he was 17 in that during that 08 game.
I was just looking at that. I was like, he is 10 years minimum. Well, I guess closer to a couple of them, but yeah, he's 1990, dude.
Yeah,
he was baller.
Yeah, he was really good in that game, and yeah, I mean they've got legit guys that are going to make the NBA Hall of Fame on that team. I think that's just that different level of competition, is made it seem maybe like the 08 team wasn't as good, but I think it's just that the world raised its level of competition so much more.
Yeah, I watched that. I mean, I've even just since quarantine gone back and like watched the progression of the world versus the United States, and we were so far ahead, and we still are like really amazing. If we put our actual best against the world, we are better. But we don't anymore. We don't put the best of the best against the world. But man, it was fun. Like even in 2008 to watch. I don't think we didn't win 2008, right? Argentina won. Is that right?
No, that was 04. Yeah.
04. Yeah. But even watching that team and then this team from Spain, man, they're good. Like, did Navarro make the? I didn't look it up.
Yeah, he was
make the NBA.
Yeah, he was in the NBA. They had Rudy Fernandez, who was in the NBA. He played for Portland. They had both Gasol brothers.
Yeah. Where'd Navarro go?
They had Jorge Garbajosa. He was up there, played for the Raptors. Navarro, I can't remember where he was at actually, but I want to say another West Coast team, but he might have played for the Raptors. It seems like all the foreign guys end up on the Raptors.
Some classic America.
Yeah, exactly. Let's ship them up to the. But I think that team Spain, if they had come over at this time and just been an NBA team, they could have been good. Like they were.
Oh, they were
that talented. Like they were had a little bit of everything. Gasol was a problem too. I thought both Mark and Pau, they had a little bit of that old school dream team power game in there. Mark Gasol, huge too. That guy.
They're both huge. I think the thing I like about them is they got touches too. Like they got some finesse, and the old school guys did too. It was just they weren't taught that finesse. Like that wasn't part of the league as much. It was like, oh, Jordan's got finesse. Some of these guys have finesse. This is crazy. Like that's a part of the gig. So Mark and Pau have other people to look to of like, oh, I can be a big man and have all this finesse and do like reverses and stuff like that, layups and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's fun to watch. They're good.
Sidebar, have you seen Marc Gasol lately? He's like one of those NBA guys that is cut great. I mean, he looks like a cyclist now. He is so skinny.
No, really?
Yeah. You'll have to Google it. Yeah, you gotta Google it because I saw a picture of him the other day and I was like, holy, he doesn't look like the same person, especially if you look at 08 Gasol here. He's got the that really long hair, almost like a mullet.
Yeah.
And he probably weighs, he's got to be close to 300 pounds in this.
Wait,
And,
Mark or Paul?
oh, no, Pow's always been kind of skinny. No, Mark. Like,
Yeah.
he's skinnier than
Oh,
Pow.
yeah, I've seen Mark. Oh yeah, he's a little cut and thin.
Yeah.
Look at him.
I know. If you compare that to where he is in this, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, he was thick. He was a big tugga in that old
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Different guy for sure. Holy jeez. Yep, game changer. That was a fun team to watch, dude. I really like Navarro. A lot of that team was just, they were round. They had outside, they had inside. They played really good team ball.
Yeah.
I appreciated
There's
that team.
something to be said, too, about guys being able to be together for a long time, because that's like a generation of players in Spain. Because we have the kind of wealth of talent that we have in the United States, they try to keep kind of a cohort of guys, but it ends up being pretty different every time. And I think that playing with that same group of guys for an extended period of time really does make a difference too. You just get a level of trust that's hard to achieve otherwise.
Yeah, I wish that we put more emphasis on that, because I agree with you. Like, the team's been pretty different every year, except for, that early team, and then kind of this team, the Redeem team you're talking about. We had a few carryovers, but even it switched a fair amount. I did like watching Jason Kidd, actually. I had a lot of love watching Jason Kidd as a point guard. He makes people really good. He sees people. He hustles. I understand why he's a coach. That was what I was noticing. It was Kobe was always kicking it with Jason Kidd. Like, they were always sitting next to each other and talking.
That makes sense.
Students of the game for real, not just here to play.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
Kobe
truly love.
He was coaching. Kobe was coaching his daughter. He would have been, if he wanted to, he would have been an interesting character as a coach. Might have been maybe a little bit too tough to.
I was gonna say he was probably hardcore.
Yeah. Might have had to have the right team around him, but could have been interesting driving a really good team. But yeah, Kidd was, and he's kind of the Kobe role in 08, where Kobe, as he's aged into that 12 team, he's more of the Jason Kidd role, the kind of elder statesman carrying the torch. But Kidd really seemed to play that role where he was just he was good. He was still playing a lot, but he was also there to kind of give like some stability. I don't know who did that really for the Dream Team. I guess maybe they were just talented enough to, or so far ahead of everybody else, they didn't need a guy like that. But I can't, thinking back on some of the games, I'm not sure if they had, because Stockton would have been that role, but he didn't really play.
Played.
He didn't play. I know. It was
like
weird.
had Jordan run the point most of the time.
Yeah,
and kind of Magic a little bit.
Yeah,
but really,
maybe
Matt the ball up.
Probably Magic then, right? Like, he was better than Kidd, but maybe he kind of played the role of team spokesman almost.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think maybe what I would say is that 92 team, I think ego was less of a thing back then. Like America didn't pump up the ego quite the same way that a lot of these guys have it now. And I don't think that's necessarily bad or good. I just think it leads to less of like, I need to be the guy, or I just have like, I don't know. None of them celebrated insanely in that team, and maybe it's because everyone was super easy. That might have been some of it. Like, you're not like as pumped.
They're like, duh.
Yeah, a little bit like that. So I'm trying to figure that out, how I feel about that. But there's a pretty big difference in the way that, like, what's his name? Like Bosch and Dwight Howard and some of those guys.
Yeah.
Like Carmelo, like the way. I don't know. There's like a difference of sportsmanship in a way, it feels like. And it almost feels like some of the new guys, and relatively deserve it, like they've earned their ability to kind of be entitled. Yeah. They are the best in the world. But they feel a little more entitled and a little more arrogant than that 92 team. And I think that's maybe why I appreciated like Kobe and honestly LeBron's for sure in that list. Jason Kidd. And Dwayne Wade, even like Dwayne Wade was in it, but he I feel like he's in the middle ground where he's just like passionate.
He was, I mean, again, you said it already, but he's unbelievable. I think maybe he's a little underrated right now just because it's too soon and people haven't gotten reflective on him, but he was honestly, I mean, he's right there with Kobe and LeBron, how fast he is, how athletic he is in 08. He was just head and tails when he came in. He was a game changer for sure.
Oh my gosh. I mean, He has been one of my favorites, and just watching with that comparison, because you never do that, right? Like,
Right.
you can't do that in a. They're so separate, and I wouldn't really compare him to LeBron anyway. They're just like a completely different style, but. Man, I think arguably he's up there, dude. I mean, he deserves that level.
He doesn't get that. He doesn't get
sport.
it though. Like, no one talks about him in that way. And I don't know. It's curious. Maybe it's kind of because LeBron came in. It's kind of the opposite of the Kobe thing we're talking about, where LeBron came in and it was pretty clear quickly that LeBron was the guy on the team and Dwayne was like his sidekick. Maybe that's sort of why, at least on those Heat teams.
No, I feel that. And I guess at the end of the day, like, Dwayne by himself didn't get championships. You know, I guess you could kind of argue that in the context of comparing to LeBron and Kobe and Jordan. But I don't know, man. You just watch player for player.
I know. All right. Did you notice? I got to ask. Did you notice any of the people in the stands? Because I've got a couple fan things that I saw watching these that had me cracking up. So I'm curious if you noticed any of the fans in there.
I remember laughing and making, like, there was a bunch of weird. What was it? Like the dudes in dresses, maybe, or something like that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I think it was. I remember that one more specifically because my daughter was like, boys wear dresses? Like, yeah, they wear dresses. It's fine. And,
we're going to get into this right now.
This is the world we live in. It's completely different. But, like,
right.
But, yeah. And I was like, also people dress up for stuff too. But I think that I remember that there was some fans, like, their deals, like, they would wear dresses to the game. Yeah. There was a bunch of weird stuff, though. The full body suits. Like, I remember that. Like,
oh my gosh.
All of it.
So I saw some celebrity ones that I wrote down that were cracking me up. So in the 92 game, Jack Nicholson's there, and and inside the facility there at the gold medal game, he's smoking a cigarette. Killed me.
That's right.
So I was like, wow, all right, this is a different era. Jack just on TV now smoking a cigarette inside at a sporting event. Why not?
Yeah.
But it's in Spain, so that sort of makes sense. And then Arnold is there in 92, and he's sitting in the stands, and then he's with Michael Douglas. He's sitting with. So he's sitting right next to Michael Douglas. And then I noticed in the 08 game, he's there again. He's got this giant American flag hat on, and the governor. This time he's sitting next to now Prime Minister Boris Johnson. They're just hanging out.
I remember that.
Yeah,
yep.
So that would have been the 12 one because it's in London. So I was like, all right, look at that. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who knew that he was such a big Olympic / NBA fan? I did not know that, but thought it was pretty funny seeing him at both those games.
Dude, and then the homie Beckham loves the games. He's just,
yeah.
Is he just a basketball
He's definitely
fan?
there.
All of them.
Yep.
And then what's his face? From the Social Network movie, that guy, the famous kid, he was there and he was loving it too. Yep. He's the geeky guy from Zombieland.
Oh yeah, okay.
Anyway, he was at the games too.
Okay.
He was loving them.
Yeah, he was
cheering on. But I kind of like that the Team USA was so loved, and then at this point everybody's like, okay, who's gonna beat Team USA for these games? And I kind of like that.
Yeah, they're like almost cheering for them to lose now. They're like, please,
for sure,
please lose. Just to see, because that would be what you remember, right? It became that after the Dream Team was there. It's like the most memorable thing about the Olympic teams for the U.S. is like, do they lose or not? Not if they win the gold medal. It's like,
no doubt.
If they lose, we will remember you. Like we remember 2004 for sure because they lost. Yeah,
and our boy Ginobili took them down.
He did. Manu. Okay,
he's so good, man.
He is. Yeah, he's another one that. I think anytime you invent a move to that Euro step or at least popularized it,
he's the guy.
There's always something about somebody that brings something in like that, and the way he changed the step back to for everybody, I think really changed things. So that takes and I think that takes growing up maybe somewhere else or in just different circumstances too. That gets to like what we were saying about the jump shot. Once everybody's got the same shooting coach and they're watching the same videos, you're coming up with something weird like that becomes a little bit difficult. That could be what's good about Giannis too, right? Just his different background makes him so unique because he kind of combines growing up in Europe and playing over there with the athleticism of a guy that grew up over here.
That evolution is pretty sick to watch. I mean, just going from where they were to all these crazy different step backs people are doing now. I'm like, this is nuts. We got this crazy level of, and shooting has just become such an art, which I'm pretty excited about. It does spread the floor.
Yeah.
Now we just got to find that balance of like old school, new school, and I'm excited for that evolution, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Maybe Anthony Davis and LeBron coming up. Do you think the NBA bubble's gonna happen?
That's a good question. I feel, man, it's up for debate. I'd like it to happen, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, everything's canceled, so I don't really have a great opinion. I think they figured out a great way to do it.
Yeah.
So
I think if it doesn't work,
down.
right? If it doesn't work, what's gonna work? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking a lot of precautions. They're testing. I honestly was I feel strange that people are worried to go in there, because I'm like, well, that seems safer than whatever most people are going through in their everyday lives. They're like, I don't have people, I'm not getting tested. No one around me's getting tested. That I'm just kind of wandering around through the world hoping that I got my mask on.
Store.
Yeah, I got my mask on, but is that really helping? Like, I hope so, but maybe the guy next to me doesn't have it on, and that doesn't help me.
No, I feel you on that. I think they're safe too. I mean, you see, Jokic has it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I wonder too. He's in Serbia right now, so he's not even in the U.S. So hopefully they'll get him back into the U.S. to be a part of it. But that could be a little tricky. I don't know.
Symptom free. Yeah, totally.
Symptom free. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you. So one of the things I thought that was pretty incredible about that Serbia or the Croatian team to think about was they mentioned that there's a civil war going on in Croatia at the time. So to think about, like, we talk a lot, and I've thought a lot about like mental health through this crisis, but to like leave your family to go to the Olympics while your country's going through that would just be, I think that says something about the strength of those guys to be able to like go out there, block it out for a couple hours, and then go home and be like, call people and, hey, are you okay? I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be, I mean, while there's part of you that, as that team was like, oh, cool, I get to get a distraction from this. At the same time, you have to go back to it. Yeah. And you have to you got to check in with probably your family. I mean, some of these guys are stressed out being at least the 25, 28-year-olds. They're a pretty young team.
They're young, yeah. They're like 20, I think. And Kukoc had just had like a kid, so you'd think about like what that's got to feel like, because they don't have the same situation as the U.S. team. They're not like going in a hotel and bringing all their family with them. I mean, they're on some of these, especially in '92. It's just different for as much as I think you were hitting on. The ego is part of the fact that so many of these guys are like brands now. It's just a different way that they market themselves. Maybe, you think about even Magic Johnson or Bird, like they weren't like global icons like Jordan, and Magic should have been. I don't know why I feel like he should have been a bigger, even, and he's not like he has done bad for himself, but I don't think about him with shoes or, apparel like we do Jordan. It's just, I think of him as like a businessman owning movie theaters.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you on that. Like, I bet you that Croatian team, like they shared hotel rooms. But it probably just felt like a high school college game.
Yeah.
Right? You like, for us.
Or stayed in the Olympic Village. I mean, they probably stayed in the Olympic Village, which the Dream Team did. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So totally different.
So yeah, I mean, slightly better, but straightforward, right? They probably shared rooms.
Yep.
And you're right. Like if our gold medal team today, they're like getting the best hotel for sure. And like, it's going pretty well for them. You're right. No brands. I wonder if Magic got punked because he got HIV and a lot of people just dropped the ability, like he just didn't get that opportunity in the same way.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it made him stronger though. He found his own way. So I guess there's something for that too, right?
Yeah, totally. I think you hit on it, and that he didn't get the same opportunities to be a global icon where he was prime, like he was on his way for sure.
Oh, in LA, he's obviously charismatic. So that's why I think it's so surprising, because if you think of someone even between him and Jordan, he seems like a more natural spokesman than Jordan is, because he just likes talking more.
He's for sure more charismatic.
Yeah, he's just smiling more. I mean, Jordan sold himself with kind of the the quiet assassin sort of mantra rather than, and then Nike obviously did an amazing job marketing him. So maybe that's the simple fact, is just Nike. I don't know. They just had brilliant marketing around him. But that 08,
I mean, and then go on.
Yeah, but that 08 team, I think I wondered if you think that plays a role in it, the fact that every one of those guys is in some way positioning themselves more than those 92 guys were, because really, besides Jordan, I mean, I don't know how I'm sure they had some shoe contracts, but it wasn't in the same way. They didn't have like Instagram followers and whatever else, or was happening even in 08.
Yeah, Hanes and shoes, baby.
Gatorade, the Gatorade. Wheaties. Oh man, did you try to eat Wheaties ever?
I ate Wheaties. They're pretty good. They're fine.
They're fine. On the cereal rankings, they can't rank very high.
No,
I mean if we're doing
slightly sweet, that was cool.
Yeah. I feel like they're the cereal that your parents would give you if you couldn't have Frosted Flakes. They're like, we can't do Frosted. That's too much sugar. How about Wheaties?
Yeah, my parents totally. They're like, give them the off-brand Cheerios.
No.
That's what I
got. Oh shoot. Okay, I got a couple of questions, and then we'll get out of here. My final two questions. First one: which team is more interesting? So this is a little bit different. If you had to go back and you got to follow, and let's just open it up to any of the three teams. Which one would you want to follow around, and why?
Man, I actually think the 92 team would probably be the more interesting team to follow around for me. They're like the biggest. I feel like all of them are so different. Like in the world that was 92, there's no Instagram. Everybody on those other two teams, I think, has some sort of external influence that would make them more the same than different culturally. Whereas that 92 team is going to legitimately reflect the region and the places they grew up with 100%.
Yeah.
Is what I would guess, which would make them really interesting to be around in so many different ways. I'd learn more, I think, from them.
Yeah. What about between the 08 and the 12 team? Because you got some of the kind of newer, the guys that are still in the league on the 12 team. You got Davis as a just coming into the league, and some of the other guys that are still around.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If I think same thing, like because I look up to Dwayne Wade so much, and I want to learn from Kidd, Michael Redd, tight left-hander, Tayshaun, LeBron, Kobe. Man, you might be right. I might pick the 2012 team because of KD and Anthony. It's just, I don't know, man. That's a hard one. Good question. Yeah. What about you? Well, who would you go with?
I think I got to go with the dream team, like you said, over the three of them, just because there's just so much. We just didn't know those guys as much, as much as you kind of feel like you know them. They're so much less accessible than the guys are today. I mean, you can hear the guys today on podcasts, on their own social media platforms, on wherever you want, just about. But those 92 guys, I mean, I legit did not know anything about some of them. Mullen, I don't know much about him except for his haircut, and he went to St. John's, and like personality wise, or they talked about Larry Bird and Ewing were hanging out together a ton. Jordan called them Harry and Larry, I guess, because they were saying that from the movie that was out at the time. So they were hanging out. I'm like, oh man, and just to be in those like card games with Jordan and Magic Johnson, that'd be cool. Oh, yeah. But I was again kind of on the 12 team initially, but I think you might be right again. I like Jason Kidd. He's one of my favorite players like the last 20 years. I think just being around him and Kobe combination, I think that's where I just hone in on. And then you get to see LeBron right before he kind of busts out. And I think the coolest thing about the 08 team is that you get to see how Wade, Bosh, and LeBron figured that kind of maybe get inside those conversations, because that's where they decided, or at least they say they decided to team up. So I think that'd be cool to hear. I'm with you. That'd be cool to hear the conversations, like, hey guys, them mapping it out, like how are we going to end up in Miami or wherever we're going to end up. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like the stories around that group are going to be really interesting, and it sounds like you would want to learn and just hear the perspectives of how the minds of Kidd and Kobe and some of those guys approach the game, and that'd be really cool to do. So I'm with you. I think 2008's the squad to follow.
Yeah,
and they'd probably be the squad to beat too.
Oh, so that's that might be your answer for the last question here. So the last one, which team's the best? What are you going with?
I think that 2008 team's the best.
Wow.
Over
the dream team.
I didn't want to either. Like straight up, I did not want to. I actually thought no brainer, the 92 squad's the squad, but I just think the athleticism all in would have that 92 squad. Like Magic couldn't hold. Jordan is well, no, that's not true. Jordan though is the closest to the athletic prowess of like the average of the 2008 team.
Yeah,
like, they'd just be running circles around them. Just they're not in shape the same.
So I think I think I'm gonna pick the dream team just because I can't go against Jordan.
Do it.
I know I can't.
I want somebody to. I don't want to either.
I can't do it. And I think him, like if you put out you've got a combination of guys that could match up. So you go Pippen. Some of the guys on the dream team aren't going to be able to play in that game. Like you're not putting Leitner or Bird out there. You're not putting Stockton out there. But if you trot out Jordan, Pippen, Barkley, Drexler, and you might even just like swap centers with like Karl Malone and Robinson, not even put Ewing out there, and just like sticks to like a smaller 5-man lineup and just mix it up with those guys. And now my one caveat would be is I do think that the 08 team could absolutely beat that team, because if they got hot, if they start hitting threes, same thing with the 12 team. I mean, that's the game changer, is like in a one game, winner take all tournament like this, is like if either of those teams get hot, like it's over, because there's not enough shooting on that 92 team to compete. If they got on fire, like they would have to beat them with defense and just kind of like you said, kind of slowing it down or almost slogging through.
I think it would be really fun to see them play, because we didn't talk about Malone at all, but he was
Karl Malone.
He's good. Like he's kind of underrated.
He started. He didn't play much in that gold medal game, but he started on the dream team. So that says something.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I totally did not give him enough credit growing up. I just kind of hated them so bad because they were the other team. They weren't the Bulls.
Yeah.
But you watch him, and I got pretty mad respect for Karl Malone. He's real good, and Barkley too, better than I imagined.
So much faster than I. Yeah. It's hard not to think of now Barkley, and you see him move down the court, and you're like, my God. Like that guy, he's just a weird. You see a lot of what people say about Zion in him. He just moves like with a kind of a ferocity that's unique.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you're going the other route, because it'd be a good game no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I think that it would be interesting to see the dream team have to play their best as well, the 92 team.
Yeah.
Because they never had to, really.
No doubt. Yeah, it would be cool just to see them challenged, because that's where we couldn't, we say Jordan's the leader, but and I think he's taking the last shot, but just you could see maybe some of the tension surface between him and Johnson, because Magic still, from that legendary scrimmage, like he obviously still in his mind thought that he's right there. Maybe Jordan's 1A and he's 1B, but he's still right there. And so in a close game, what would he be bringing it up, or Jordan? What would be the kind of where would Pippen fit in on that? That would be really cool to see.
Pippen would be pretty epic against that 2008 squad. He'd be pretty clutch.
I've always wanted to see him guarding LeBron. I think that would be cool to see what LeBron would do, if he'd end up like 2011 LeBron, or if he would end up with if he showed out against Pippen, that'd mean a lot. Say a lot to me.
Yeah, because I feel like Pippen is like. He's like a more powerful, better, or just different, because Clay's a shooter, right? But Clay, the kind of defensive player, and like even the way they move, I feel like Pippen's like a more athletic and less of a shooter, but more of a power version of somebody like Clay, who can just defend.
Yeah.
He's big and tall and fast and strong. And so, I don't know. I mean, that team is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just,
and then of course you get to see Kobe versus Jordan too.
Yeah, man. And that, I think Jordan's got Kobe, to be real. I think that's the thing. If Jordan could play with all of the guys who play now, Jordan, I think, would still be the best.
Yeah.
Because
he'd He was he was so again, the speed of him and Barkley and Pippen were the ones that like I just did not remember. I don't know if I just didn't have the perspective because I was so young in 92 to realize like how fast those guys were. But I wrote that down. I was like, Jordan's like Kawhi, only fast. Like Kawhi's defense is amazing, but Jordan, the speed and the quickness that he had are like Kawhi is not as fast, not nearly as fast as Jordan was. He's stronger maybe, but the speed that Jordan had is unbelievable.
Yeah, Jordan's the package, man. Jordan's the package.
So we at least solve that, right? Jordan go.
I think so.
We're not bringing anybody else in the conversation.
Nah, Jordan's the GOAT. I think you're gonna follow with a number 2. And for me, number 2 is Kobe, and then honestly, number 3 for me is maybe Dwayne Wade for me.
Wow, I love it.
Even though stat wise,
I love it.
Yeah, and that's not stat wise. I understand.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to watch somebody play, if they were playing that level,
you can't just do stats though, because otherwise you can't bring Magic Johnson in because his career got cut short. You know, he had the assist, but the other stuff would have obviously gone way up if he had gotten to play a lot longer.
That's why I like you. You see the big picture.
All right, man. I'm gonna get you out of here on that. That's perfect. I love ending on a compliment for myself.
Yeah, baby.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate it.
Of course. We'll catch you whenever we catch you.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Peace.
Peace.